Hello, hello.
And welcome back.
To a rainy day in Germany.
We are back.
Yeah, we're back.
A lot has happened in the past week. The last time you saw us on Mauritius.
I feel like so much has happened. We need an update. But today's video topic is questions I've always wanted to ask my boyfriend of 13 years.
And you may think, what the hell? 13 years. Are normal people not married by that time?
Well, that's one of the questions, so...
Stay tuned.
By the way, we're in a car because we're on the way home because I have a coaching session. Well, I give you the update later. Let's start with questions. What was your very first impression of me?
So, I saw Xenia for the first time in a club in Hamburg. And the romantic thing about us is that we met on 11/11/11. So, November 11th, 2011.
And you were making out with like 5 girls that night.
Yeah, and one of them was you. Didn't expect that, to be honest. I just wanted to tell the romantic story of how we met. But yeah.
It was semi-romantic, but yeah, the date was quite good.
And my first impression, I really liked or loved your smile. I think you have a very mesmerizing smile, like a very bright smile. And I thought that it's really attractive.
I think you just made it up.
No, when I think back to that day, I still think about that.
Okay, so when I saw Jürgen, I was like, oh, this guy, he's such a player, like I can't. And then he started like going after me. And I was like, I wonder if he's like actually interested or it's just like, oh my God, do you guys hear the rainy background noise?
Don't interrupt the story. I want to know what you thought. I don't even know what it was.
No, I think it's beautiful. Anyway, so I was like, I wonder if he's like, how much does he really care? Because again, like he was making out with like everybody in the club. I mean, not really, but you get my point. So the club where we were at was a very long club. It's not like one floor, it was like very long. So I made a test. Like even though I was super drunk, my brain was like, let's make a test. And this is the ultimate test. So I went from like the middle part to one end. And then I went to the very other end. And I was like, is he gonna follow me? And he did.
And I did.
So he passed the test. And now here we are, 13 years later.
Yeah, great. I'm still following. Wherever she goes, I'm coming.
Okay, the next question is, don't look.
I am not supposed to look, sorry.
What's one thing I do that drives you crazy?
So Xenia loves to open
Doors,
yeah, of storage. How do you call it? Like a
in a
closet
kitchen,
or yeah, like
cabinet. I open like everything. I open everything in the closet.
yeah. And she just doesn't close those doors, and I'm like, just close that door. And also, so guys,
Don't say
when
it.
we no, I don't even know what you mean, but like
The tissues.
yeah, the tissue. She also, but that I feel like you got a little bit better with. So she
You again?
leaves her tissues everywhere. No,
Well, I
but
got
you know
better.
what really drives me crazy is when we have dinner or lunch or whatever, and then Xenia's done, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm getting a yogurt out of the kitchen." So she gets up, and instead of taking her used dishes, because she's already on the way to the kitchen, she just leaves them there because someone else will take those and bring them into the kitchen. And then I'm like, Xenia, are you
I got
going to the
spoiled by
kitchen?
my mom.
That is a little bit what drives
That is
me
a bad
crazy.
habit because honestly, I don't notice it. Like I genuinely don't notice it, and I know that if I were in your shoes and I would watch me, I would like go insane. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I know it, but I'm not very conscious about it. But I'm working on it because also like in group settings, it's like not a good look. We're working on it.
But that's what drives me crazy the most. It's very little things. I think it's very minor.
Do you know what drives me crazy about you?
I cannot think of anything, to be honest. No, tell me.
Your phone addiction drives me insane. And the weird thing is, he's less on his phone than me, but I work on my phone, and you are such a scroller, and it really triggers me. Even though it's kind of none of my business. But like when we're in bed and I'm like, no phone in bed policy, and you're just scrolling and
Yeah, I love
scrolling
it.
and scrolling, and I'm like,
At the end of the day, especially.
I think
I
it
don't know
really,
why.
really, really drives me insane.
Great. What else? Nothing? There must be something else.
Okay, I know.
Tell me.
So I am chaotic, like my brain is chaotic, and sometimes I am super chaotic, but at the same time, I'm like obsessed with order, like obsessed. And you have some like endless caves where you throw your stuff in, like a bag that just swallows everything, or like a in his bathroom in New York.
We will never show it.
He literally has a corner, he throws everything in there and it's so fucking messy. It drives me insane. I think your strategy is sometimes I do it so badly that I go insane and I just do it for you. Like sometimes I literally rearrange your clothing in a suitcase because I'm like, this is so bad. You cannot just throw stuff in a suitcase. It needs to be neat and beautiful and like treat your clothing with love. And then I'm like, no, you do it on purpose so that I take off the work. But the thing in New York is crazy because it's literally like, it's so messy.
Yeah, it is. And you have this saying, which is unfortunately true, which is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I really want to work on that. So far, I fall into old patterns. And I have, the funny thing is, I don't know if I ever told you this. You can ask my parents. I always did this. Like, it's,
Really?
yeah, like also when I had to clean up my room or something, like I would just out of sight, out of mind, like just put it under the blanket, put it in the... No, it's for sure something that I've always been doing. If it's not visible, it's not there.
I mean, to be very, very honest, I did it as a child as well. I put everything under my bed. But also, I feel like the older I get, the more obsessed I become with order. Just because also, like, our lives are quite chaotic. And especially now, we're in this, like, transitional, chaotic phase. So I need order. Like, even when I pack suitcases to travel back, everybody's like, oh, like, it really doesn't matter. Like, just throw it in. No, I really want the pants by the pants, the shirts by the shirts, the blazers neatly folded, blah, blah, blah. I love it. Sometimes it gives me so much pleasure that I literally say out loud, how can I make this like my main thing in life? Not just for myself, like how can I scale
Like,
it? How can I make a business out of
Maria
it?
Xenia Kondo.
Yeah, but not really. Like, I don't want to clean up for other people. But how can I? Because I'm also really good in organizing. You know, like, I can create order, like, really well. Anyway, if you could change one thing about our relationship, what would it be?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't want to change anything. But if there was one thing... I have a hard time because I really like what we are doing, and I mean what would maybe sometimes be a little bit healthier, but it's nothing that I necessarily want to change because we are around each other 24/7, and I couldn't even name the last time that Xenia and I haven't been around each other.
I was running with Niels.
Yeah, probably, yeah, when you were running with, you know, but I mean like even like spending the night and the day together. Like I couldn't even name. I think probably the last time was when you went to Burning Man and I stayed in Los Angeles.
5 years ago.
Yeah. So we are literally around each other all the time. And I think, especially with you, you need sometimes, I don't really need space. I love being around you.
I need
But
space.
Xenia can be so annoyed at times. No,
But
not
I'm
annoyed.
not
It's
annoyed
more-
with you.
I
I'm
think
just
it's-
like, I need
Exactly.
space.
I think it's not about, I know that it's not about me. It's more like, and I understand that sometimes you just want to be by yourself and you want to do your things with no one around, no one watching.
Like sometimes I just want to have a good cry. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be like, oh, is everything okay? Yes, it's perfectly fine. I just need to watch a sad movie, be
Yeah.
sad for a little bit, and then everything is great. Or I just want to like do nothing. Like sometimes when you have coaching sessions, for example, and I'm by myself for 3 hours, I'm like, great. I will do nothing. And I'm just on my phone wasting time.
I think it's important also to, and not feel watched or not feel...
I think it's important, and I think that's what we lack because we do too much together. And yes, it's like nice and it's a privilege because, you know, not every couple can do that. But I think it's very healthy, especially with a personality like mine. I'm Aquarius. I need my independence. it would be healthier if you also had your own little world, because I feel like it's not your world, it's just our world. And especially I think you could really benefit of creating your own like hobbies.
Okay, now
But you know what I mean, like your
Yeah,
life
no,
is
of
always
course.
very much like according
because I
to mine.
like that you
Yeah, but you know, I mean, this is, by the way, as you can tell, it's a topic of confrontation at times. Because I think it's important that each partner has their own individual, not life, but like aspirations and like hobbies and even friends. And I love that we overlap a lot. And I think it's also great for a couple to have like overlapping hobbies, friends, and etc. But I think you also need to be your own person. I always tell Jürgen, he also needs to be his own person. And we still do all these things together, but you are your own person. Like, I want to push you out of your shell of comfort and be like, speak your truth.
I'm like a chameleon. I can go
Yeah,
into every situation and
Yes, but also like you have...
adapt.
I really think you're brilliant, and we lose your brilliancy by you camouflaging around the people, on the people around you. And that's the thing, we lose your brilliancy. Like even yesterday, so we were with our friends in Spain. Our friend has an amazing house, and we were staying there for New Year's, and he has a guest book, and this guest book is so important to him. Like he was like, when we arrived, he was like, guys, before you leave, you need to like put your like message in. And then on the last day, he was like, everybody, you need to write in this guest book. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. Like I would be exactly the same. But then I opened the guest book and people were really putting in the effort. Like there were drawings, there were beautiful messages. I'm like, wow, this is not just a guest book. This is a serious guest book. So of course, I was like, okay, I need to do something that's really extra. You know how I am. And then I started like drawing, and I drew kind of everything that happened this week. I drew it on a table. Like the games we played, the things we ate, the jokes we had. Like I drew it all, like I captured the moment. So obviously I went a bit over the top, which is like typical Xenia. And you looked at this, you're like, can I sign this? And I'm like... No, Jürgen.
Seemed like the
And then everybody
easy
looked
way
at
out.
me like I'm mean. And maybe it was a little bit mean. But I was like, no, I put in so much effort into this. I wrote like this text. I'm like, no, you're not just putting your name
It's
under
like
this.
a group work back in school,
Yeah.
and you
But
did all
this
the
is your
work.
pattern. I swear, this is your pattern. You're like, you can do it really well because people love having you around. So you always get away with doing nothing.
What do you mean?
So then I was like, no, you're not putting your name under my piece of art. And then you came out with a rhyme, and it was so brilliant. But that's the thing, you know, Jürgen, we lose your brilliancy if you just let others do the work. Because you have it so much in you. Also, New Year's, we did like a quiz. And Jürgen,
I'm so smart, guys.
No,
You don't
guys.
even know.
after like, okay, it's been 13 years. And I was mind blown. I'm like, how do you know so much?
Because I do so many random things.
I was mind blown. I mean, I know that you're smart, but you knew almost like every answer. I'm like, wait, did you cheat?
No, but you knew one really funny answer.
Yeah, I had a very random answer, but it was the only one that I knew. It was like, which battle happened in this date, in this year? And it was the Battle of Waterloo, and I don't know. I mean, I know why it's ingrained in my brain. I remember when we had the subject in school. For some reason, it was very like ingrained in here. But you knew like crazy things, and your general knowledge is phew, like, we need to pull out your brilliancy. And that's why I think you should be your own person.
Yeah, okay, let's on to the next.
Why do you feel uncomfortable with this?
Because I feel like very called out publicly.
I always call myself out publicly.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be very accountable and very honest.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, so if you...
No, I mean, you said good things, so let's leave it in.
By the way, I have this thing about me where I'm so curious about other people. I just want to know everything, and I want to understand like how they roll. I always see it like colors of a person. And when I meet new people, they're blank, and I fill in the colors according to how they are. And now we were with friends that we've known for only a few months. So I still don't really like I haven't colored the full picture of them. So when we had conversations, they went a bit deeper, like, okay, what's important for you this year? Like, get to the essence, not just like, oh, I want to walk 10,000 steps every day. But like, what does your soul care about? Like digging really hard.
Almost like a therapist.
I think because I do so much therapy that now I'm like applying the same questions to others. I find it so interesting, especially like I want to get to the core of people and not in a way of like you're a bad person or you're a good person, but like what do you actually care about? Like what do you truly care about if there was no expectations, if there's no rules of society? I'm so curious. Like that's a
And it's
new
very
fun.
hard also for me, it's so hard.
And that I find that so interesting because for me it's so, I mean it's not easy, but I'm like digging. I'm like an archaeologist.
Archaeologist. Yeah.
I'm like digging. I'm like, even for me, I'm like really lifting stones. I'm looking what's underneath, like what's the true core of everything that we do and the way we see the world, like our perception of the world. I want to get to the ground. And with other people, I mean, it is.
Oh, because you have to put in the work for yourself.
It's not just putting in
Like,
the
not
work.
yourself, but then everyone has to put in.
Yeah. It's not easy. It's simply
No.
not easy, and it goes deep down. So, but it's so interesting that some people don't have access to it, and I'm just so curious. I think we lost a psychologist on me.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay. What's one dream or goal you've put on hold, and how can I help you achieve it?
It's not really a dream, but maybe a goal. So I actually, when we moved to Paris, like 6 years ago, I absolutely had the goal to learn French. And it's not a dream, but I think, like, especially when you're, I don't know why, but it's what I think, so I will express it. So when you're around in any other country in the world and you hear someone speaking French, it's somehow very sophisticated and superior. I don't know why, but it is what I think. So I really also want to speak French. That sounds so stupid, but like,
Okay,
I think it's
Jürgen,
nice to speak that language.
I'm gonna lift a stone, and I'm gonna ask you, what's a dream you've put on hold?
A dream.
Look at the 100-year-old Jürgen, you know, wrinkly, gray hair, more gray hair. You're laying in bed, you're like, ah.
Like a dream.
What's a dream in life? Like, what's something,
I really want to do.
and something that's been in the back of your head maybe for the last years or even decade or your entire life?
Yeah, this is part of what Xenia just said. Like, it's if you didn't really put in the work before, then it's very hard on the spot. So I can just think out loud. And when I'm trying to dig, it's more around seeing special places around the world. But I'm not sure if that's, or
That's
maybe
a dream.
maybe I'm trying to be deeper. Instead of just listening to what I want to do. I always wanted to go to Australia, for sure. I've never been there. And also New Zealand, because it's just so far away. Oh, now I know. I want to go to the Atacama Desert and watch the stars. That's actually, like, I'm not kidding. That's a dream that I've been thinking about for forever.
I love that. I didn't know that.
Because I think it must be so magical, like to see the whole Milky Way and there's no light pollution and it's just, it must be, like, I really want to do that. How can you help me?
I'll take you there.
Okay. What about you?
Well, DJing, obviously. Like, I wish I would do something in music, like, as a hobby. But it's so hard. Like, I need a teacher, but then we're traveling all the time. And, like, but I love music so much. Like, it's really a shame that I don't do more music. I mean, I have a lot of dreams, so where do we start? Where does it end? You know, I want to have a successful career as an entrepreneur and maybe have my own fund one day and initiate or support other companies and entrepreneurs. And, you know, I want to have a family one day and...
Oh, sorry. I have a little...
allergy
Yeah.
to other people's dream.
No. Yeah.
Why are we not married?
People ask us all the time, especially when they find out that we have been a couple for 13 years. I think both of us don't really feel the need to prove anything to anyone outside, and also on the other hand, we don't feel ready, right? Like, not that we don't want to commit to each other, but like, first of all, we are again around each other all the time, every day.
We're like an old married couple already.
Exactly. So marriage doesn't prove anything to us. or I don't feel like I need. Of course, one day, I hope it's going to happen. It wouldn't change anything for me. And if we do it, we also want to have like a big party and really celebrate. It's more like an event to celebrate us and our friends, like all coming together, having a really good time. And
it's so funny because that's, I think, I mean, I never want to conform to like society's expectations. You know, that really shows in my choice of career when, you know, when I started, there was no such thing as influencer. Like, that was really something I just naturally followed. Like, I was just doing what I like to do. And the expectations of everybody around me was like, you studied finance, you need to work in a bank, like, you need to have a proper job, you need to have a real job. Thank God I didn't listen to them. But then also with marriage, and that's really hard to believe for some people, which to me, it's so funny. Like, it's so funny that for some people, they're just in shock. I never felt pressure from society. Like, even when everybody around me gets married, I'm not like, oh, I have to get married. Like, for me, it's something that my perception of marriage is so different, I would say, than the norm. And I'm so okay with it. Like, I mean, I care, and one day I want it to happen, but not now. And again, it's something, I don't want any misunderstanding, so I'm going to explain. Like, I always say that if Jürgen would ask me now, I would say no. But not because I don't want to commit, because we are committed, but because right now, or for the last few years, we've been in such a, it's just been a lot. And thinking about adding marriage on top of this, like, I can't. And I'm so okay with it. Like, I want to do it for the party. I want to do it because we have incredible friends. Like, I think that's one thing I'm very proud of. We have such incredible friends, and our circles of friends they're brilliant. And if I'm very honest with you, you know, people chase money or fame, and of course, like, we also like all these things. But what's something that I'm obsessed with in life is being surrounded by special and interesting and loyal and great people. Like, that's what I live for. And especially over the last few years, we've really nurtured amazing friendships we've had for decades. We've made new friends that are so amazing, and I feel like the wedding is gonna be so amazing because we just build more and more amazing people around us, and it's gonna be such a nice celebration because even a few years ago we weren't as, not secure, but not as stable in our circle of friends because we had just a lot of people we knew. But real friendships, like, that really happened in the last few years, and not in terms of we didn't have real friends before, but we really nurtured these friendships and we invest a lot in these friendships. And that's like, I want to have a wedding for my friends. I mean, not for my friends, but I don't know if you get the point, because maybe if you have the very like classical view of marriage, you don't understand what I'm talking about. And
you are in a different point of your life.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's also
really fine. Like, I really understand. Like, I understand when other people want to get married, and it's
also
so
beautiful.
fine.
Yeah,
I love weddings. Like, I love everything about it, and that's so fine. And to be honest, I'm so grateful for myself to never feel the pressure, or, you know, having my point of view and then giving into the pressure. That doesn't exist for me. But it's a question we get over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So we wanted to address it one more time. Last one is, if we wrote a book about our relationship, what would be the title and why?
Happily Ever After.
Cute.
Or
Xenia's and Jürgen's Adventures in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Okay, one bonus question, because we get this question also quite a lot. What's our secret for being together for so long?
I think, first of all, it's good to be different or to have different qualities. Like, for example, Xenia can be a full-on Aquarius.
Let's call myself out. I have female rage in me. I'm gonna talk about this separately in another video, but I'm like a fiery type. I'm very passionate, but this can also like show in a bad way, like when I'm super frustrated or I just get really angry. And
like temperament.
yeah,
like
I have temper, and I'm quite good in keeping it under.
control.
not just control. You know, anger is actually a very, not like a good emotion, but it's a very useful emotion because it puts you into action mode and it makes you change things. It's like a very strong force. Like it's a good emotion if you make something out of it. But when I don't have it under control, which also happens, you are extremely patient. And
Calm.
you're so calm.
Which
to
is-
a point which drives me even more insane. I'm like,
Yeah.
fight back.
No, but I think that is important too. Because if you have two people with a lot of temper, then that can clash to an extent where it's disaster. If you have the two sides in a relationship, which is...
It also shows in
Yeah.
other ways where I'm like the more energetic, actionable person versus you're the more steady,
and then,
calm. We're complementing each other in
Yeah.
that sense.
And I think also, of course, and you might have heard this before, but a big secret is put in the work. Like, of course, after 13 years, a relationship is not like in the first month. So you have to be patient with your partner. You have to hopefully go into the same direction and then you can work it out.
I think what's really tricky about long relationships, or why, for example, the first 5 years you're like, oh my god, we're meant for each other, we'll forever stay together. But then you might develop in different directions. I've seen this all the time, where suddenly somebody had these life goals and the partner went into another direction, and then even though some years you're like, wow, we are perfect together, but then your life journey kind of separates. So I think that's why it's so hard. Like when somebody says we're staying together forever, I'm like, red flag, because you never know what the future holds and how you will develop. And I think though that one part of like a lot of things is to have a similar goal on the horizon. Even if we are complementary and different, it's important to know what's your North Star for both of you and if they're somewhat aligned. And then I think, you know, in every relationship, and like everybody who says this is not true is a liar. Because every relationship gets shit sometimes. That's facts. And if it doesn't, you are, I don't know, not real to each other, or you are not expressing your or honoring your true self. It's so normal, because it's also part, I learned this in coaching. You have a circle of connection. So first you are coming closer, then you connect, then it breaks, and then you grieve. And like it's a circle that repeats over and over again. And you cannot connect, like you cannot come closer if you don't go through the circle. I need to find the English term for this. But that's why it's so important. Like even not arguing, I'm not saying like you should argue, but I think sometimes healthy discussions are very healthy for a relationship. And sometimes going through a shitty period can also be really healthy for a relationship. And that's something where a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's shit, like this doesn't make any sense. And I'm calling myself out again. I have parents who divorced. So my belief in like long-lasting relationship was quite low, while your parents are still happily together. And you have a very different perception of a relationship than me. So many times when I was like, okay, this is stupid, it doesn't make any sense, you're like, no, we'll get through this, and like, let's not give up, blah, blah, blah. And that's one of the reasons why we're still together, because me and other people, and again, now I've changed because, you know, I've been in here for a long time. So now I see what it's like to work through these phases. But I think that it's so normal to have these phases, and then it either makes you grow stronger together or it breaks you. And then that's how it is. But it's not easy. And that's also something that Hollywood is selling to us. Like,
That's why the film ends where it ends. And it never shows the...
I always show, when I see like this new couple and in the movie happy ending, blah, 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 I'm like, okay, let's see where you are in 15 years. And you never know what life holds. And I think it's so normal, like that. I want to normalize more that life is more like a wave. It's like an upward wave. Like, yes, it gets better, but you always have these like little lows and
Yeah.
everything. And
It's not linear.
no, and it's okay. Like, it's totally okay. And if you have that attitude, it's much healthier to get through these rough times when you're like, okay, I know this is like a phase and it will get better if we both work on it. I mean, I could talk for
Yeah.
much longer time about this, but we have to go.
Yes, and battery is almost empty.
Yep.
All right, guys, let us know what else you want to know.
Oh my god, and the rain literally
Yeah, it
stopped.
stopped.
Like, What is this
We
timing?
filmed through the rain.
We
That's
filmed through the rain.
it. All right.
All right.
See you next week.
Let us know if you have any other questions and leave them in the comments. Bye.
Bye.